right here in Credlin, all the big issues you want to talk about. Who better than the wonderful Alan Jones to help me out on these tonight, as he does every Monday. He joins me now from Sydney. Look, Alan, we'll get to some questions from my viewers in a moment, but I have to ask you, what did you make of that extraordinary result in Western Australia on the weekend? 2, maybe 3 only Liberals have been returned. The National Party will officially be the opposition in Western Australia, and a Premier in Mark McGowan that's likely to control both houses of Parliament.
Yeah, look, it is extraordinary. I'll go into some detail about this on my program later on, Peter, but when you look at the figures, 59 seats in the lower house of the Western Australian Parliament, and McGowan will have 52. Mind you, as I'll be saying later, Peter, in a democratic society, I don't know how, when you get 59% of the primary vote, you get 88% of the seats. It doesn't sort of make sense. But nonetheless, the Liberal Party have been annihilated, and you're right, they don't get on well with the National Party. So the National Party will provide in Mia Davies, a 43-year-old who transferred herself from the upper house to the lower house a couple of elections ago. She'll be the leader of the National Party. But how you can have an effective opposition with 7 people trying to monitor everything the government's about, it's impossible. You know that, I know that. Oh, and yeah. Here, this is a wipeout. I mean, 21.3% of the vote. When this fellow Kirkup, the young fellow, whom I thought, I must say, in the face of defeat, handled himself with some dignity, but when he got hammered, the swing in his seat, extraordinary, it was 25.2%, because he went on with this energy policy that Matt Keane in New South Wales is going on about, and indeed some people in Canberra are going on about, a 25.2% swing. It's interesting to note that the seats held by the 3 former leaders of the Liberal Party all were lost with massive swings against them. And indeed, in the pastoral and minerals areas of Western Australia, that is the regional areas, the coalition couldn't win a seat in the upper house. So I mean, it's an absolute wipeout. And where you recover from that, I don't know. But there's a similar fate awaiting the Labor Party in New South Wales. And who knows what's going to happen.
Just on that, I've got a grab of some comments from Opposition Leader JODI McKay today. She's on track, her own terrible electoral defeat if things don't change course. Let's have a listen.
This is about their attempt to, coward punch me from behind, so I'm on the mat. But, straight out of the Eddie Obeid and Joe Tripodi playbook. But I fought them and I'll fight these 2 as well.
It doesn't
matter. Look, I'm sorry.
It's got the polling, does it? It doesn't matter who pays for the polling.
It's got nothing to do with I mean, they have leaked against her, there's no doubt about that. But look, JODI McKay, I'm sure she's tried her best, but she's simply not up to it. It's got nothing to do with women. Gladys Berejiklian's a woman as well. She simply is not up to it, and they are counting the numbers, and she will be replaced, as will the fellow in Victoria in the Liberal Party. But, I mean, these are serious issues, I think, for the rebuilding of the Liberal Party in WA. Where do you start? And there is some criticism of Scott Morrison, though I can understand why he wouldn't have interfered in that election campaign. But nonetheless, the volunteers and the people on the ground would love to see the national leader just say thank you for being there. Now, as you know, Peter, when you're fighting a campaign and you've got no seats in the parliament and no resources as well, no one's going to tip in some money for all of this. No volunteers. Yeah. I don't know how you rebuild
It's interesting. I spoke to quite a few people in Western Australia, Liberals, who were really quite cranky because they said, and I'll quote, the Prime Minister and his team will knock on our doors and want us to hand out votes for him and support him in the next election campaign. And he couldn't even thank us, couldn't even turn up and support us as we were all fighting what we all thought and knew was a very, very tough competition against McGowan. I'll go to one of my Facebook comments because I think this
sums it up. On that. I mean, one thing on that, Peter, which you ought to add about WA, 36 seats in the upper house. They had to win 5 to win control. Most pundits said that was impossible. They've won 8. I mean, One Nation had 2 seats. They've got none. The Greens had 4. They finished up with 1. This has been... McGowan now controls both houses of the parliament. It is absolutely...
Yeah, but he's a centrist. He has brought the Labor Party to the centre. He's talking to business, and he doesn't hate aspiration as some of the Labor left do. Carol Exton-Johns, one of my Facebookers, has said, and she's right, the Liberal Party is losing its conservative values and slowly turning green. No longer the party I want to vote for. That is the problem.
Well, the problem is exactly your viewer has said. There's no doubt about it. I mean, these people are moving into territory. They pander to the Greens. without knowing that the Greens would never ever vote for them. So the Greens are laughing. I mean, you don't need a Greens party while you've got Matt Keane. You don't need a Greens party while you've got people in Canberra talking about net zero carbon dioxide emissions. That's Greens policy. Bill Shorten took this stuff to the election and got smashed. We've got Kirkup in Western Australia took it to the election and got smashed. And we've still got people advocating this and no discipline within the party to say, shut up and go away.
We desperately need Liberals, and you can see this in Victoria, Liberals to find 4 or 5 issues and fight like buggery on them. You don't find them, stand for them, pick a fight with the other side, draw the contrast with Labor, and we did it so successfully a few years back at a federal level. That's the model for the centre-right side of politics. Anyway, Alan.
Absolutely right. Now, before you go,
I'm running out of time. They're in my ear.
I've got to say one thing.
Very quickly.
If they watch me tonight after 8 o'clock, I'll explain to you how we can beat Daniel Andrews in Victoria. And the lady you're watching might have something to do with that.
Stop it. All right, I'll leave you there. I'll leave you there. 8 o'clock, Alan Jones.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.